Getting real tired of tourist season. No offense, but you guys are lowering the bar.
I knew this backlash is going to come, and it's just been hilarious to read. Not only can normies not argue in good faith, they instead resort to ad hominem attacks rather than tackling down a single point I've made across the entire video. And they claim to be Fallout fans, which is just really sad and pathetic to see how the Fallout fandom has turned into. Fallout 4 and 76 has truly destroyed the minds of so many, including tourists and casuals and normies all across the board. Although I'm pretty sure most of it is just coming from Zoomers who have the most shortest attention span known to man and cannot even comprehend more than 10 seconds of a video, or they're just rage baiting, but who knows at this point. Anyways, I'm not gonna make it a whole video just talking about the funny hate I got from my comment section last video, and I don't think I need to regurgitate most of the points I've said in the first video because they'll be the same. I'll give you a very short summary. Flashbacks do not belong in Fallout. It's been over 200 years. Move on. This just isn't world building. This is just filler. Mr. House's intention to control everything, including people, which isn't his intention in New Vegas whatsoever. The Brotherhood of Steel portrays a bunch of idiots and causing themselves a civil war over a small dispute. And of course, the filler vault scenes across the entire show. I do thank all of the Fallout fans, the true Fallout fans, for commenting and sharing their opinions about the show. It's a shame that they rather want slop in their future titles rather than an actual piece of art like in the older games. Anyways, this is going to cover the last 3 episodes, and due to how horrible the pacing of the show is, I'm going to leave all the filler vault stuff and a couple flashbacks somewhat in the middle of the video. I'll still cover them. It'll just be very short. So here it is, Fallout Season 2 and its last 3 episodes. Since this show has so many side plots, and this episode is consisting of flashbacks between them, we're going to start with Cooper Howard. Now, I guess him being the ghoul gives him the ability to have extreme plot armor, and apparently it was able to survive a huge ass spike through his body, and survive for God knows how long, and how Freeside is just completely void of any danger whatsoever. People just walk by and they don't even steal anything from him, but I guess he's just so cool and badass, so that's why they don't do it. Being a rotting corpse just makes you stronger. After some time, a super mutant comes out of nowhere in Freeside in the middle of the night and saves them. If you can't tell me this isn't obvious plot armor, then I don't know what is. He gets kidnapped into a chapel and reveals us the first super mutant in the show, voiced by Ron Perlman, the narrator of all the Fallout games. Pretty cool, I guess. The super mutant is looking for other mutants and abominations alike to fight against the Enclave, which does sound pretty cool. It's a shame that it doesn't get followed along with this. Guess you gotta wait a whole year for season 3. Cooper says no because he prefers to work things alone. And then he gets kicked out of the chapel and knocked out and dumped into some random location. Anyways, moving on to Lucy. She wakes up in the Vault-Tec bunker. She wanders around and spots 2 legionaries being mind controlled. Yes, I don't know how an executive assistant was able to mind control 2 legionaries despite them being fierce warriors, but whatever. As she witnessed literal wage slaving despite them not getting paid just to make more mind control chips. And of course, the right excuse is that, oh, Hank just used the people that he already controlled to control more people, despite them not being fighters. And even if they are, their goodwill mentality is just not gonna work. She eventually finds her dad, and then Hank explains that, you know, mind controlling people and basically enslaving them is the only way for peace and cooperation. Lucy obviously does not like that, and she tries to take him for Vault-Tec justice. Yeah, she's still doing this Vault-Tec shit like that even matters. Even though she's probably not going to get accepted back in the vaults because she, you know, abandoned her people and left the vault. Anyway, she goes out and sees the beautiful cattle of people working endlessly. She makes an announcement that they're all free to go and the door's unlocked. And of course, since they're mind-controlled cattle, they refuse. Oh, and of course, now we know that the legions are cannibals now.
She used to cook people for the Legion. Now she makes trail mix, and boy, is it tasty.
What a great addition. Thanks, Todd. Oh, and out of nowhere, they bring 2 people from the NCR and Legion, and she's given a choice to release them or let them get mind controlled, which of course she lets them get released. And obviously they fight each other and almost dies in the process. But of course, since she's the main character, she survives and pushes the button to mind control them. Hank is really trying to prove that basically enslavement, which it is the only way to progress. Which doesn't really matter because in a later episode, that completely changes. Anyways, moving on. At which we see Thaddeus and Maximus abandon the armor because it has a tracker in it and move so far away into some random deserted location, escaping with a cold fusion, of course, and we learn that Thaddeus is from the Boneyard. What a neat addition. And also talk about morality and good and bad. Trying to find the good person, which is Lucy, supposedly. Which makes this very ironic coming from two people who are just objectively evil in some acts. And out of nowhere, Dogme comes in and leads Thaddeus and Maximus to Cooper Howard. I know that Dogme used his hat to track him down, but it's still insane to me that they're just able to meet each other, despite the Mojave Desert being quite big in real life. But since we're using game logic, I guess the Mojave Wasteland is just very small. Oh, we also learn in this episode that in the flashback, of course, that the water chips we see is actually determined to fail. Great addition. Thanks. Which undermines Fallout 1 a little bit, knowing that their water chip is just sabotaged on purpose by Vault-Tec for no reason at all. But of course, the Reddit response would be, it's just a social experiment. We also see fake Mr. House presenting the automated man, the microcontrol chip, which undermines Mr. House's beliefs on slavery. But of course, that doesn't really matter because they didn't play the game. Then we see Hank's infatuation with it, which of course is the reason why he's so obsessed with this technology. We also see that Barb Howard was basically emotionally manipulated into doing all this shit for the Enclave, the shadow government. And how we know this is the scientist from season 1. Yeah, so the last 3 episodes is just going to be constant Enclave shit. This constant mention of the Enclave doing literally everything similar to Cooper Howard, but instead it's the Enclave basically doing every bad thing, which caused the end of the world. Cooper knew about all this and tries to find out a way to save the world, I guess. At which he finds Hank, leads him to his room, drug him, and then figure out what's inside of the suitcase, which is the gun that inserts the cold fusion pill into the guy's neck. And that's basically episode 6. Another very boring episode. The only vault scenes I'm going to include later on is with Stephanie and with Norm. I'm not including the other guy, which I don't even know his name because he's not important at all. Every time I rewatch the vault scenes with him, and I'm thinking to myself, how does this add to the plot? The short answer, it doesn't. Move on. We see Thaddeus, Maximus, and the Ghoul explore an abandoned NCR outpost. And then out of nowhere, the Ghoul pulls out his firearm, suspecting that he has something of importance in his hand, which he does. I don't know why he's just casually holding it in his hand rather than in his pockets. At which the Ghoul asks him to hand it over. At which Max replies he's going to give it to Lucy. Don't know what she's going to do with it, but whatever. The Ghoul brought them both here because they're going to get a bunch of weapons in order to defeat a pack of Deathclaws at the Strip. I guess the concept of stealing and so-called raiders in the Fallout series doesn't really exist. At which they just have a bunch of weapons and armor around. Which of course they show off the NCR Ranger power armor, alluding to the courier wearing it. With the whole Fallout 4 New Vegas theme playing. I don't really inherently hate the power armor. It's just doesn't look right. The NCR wasn't known for wearing power armor, and when they salvage a power armor from Helios 1 after the battle of Operation Sunburst, they don't even know how to use it, so they just stripped mechanics of the armor, turning it into some heavy combat armor with just heavy plating all around, which is why you can use the salvage power armor in New Vegas without power armor training. But of course, since you're using the Fallout 4 power armor, you don't need such a thing. What made New Vegas unique with its armor is that it's not power armor unlike the other Fallout games. It wants to be unique and different from the others, which is kind of a shame that we don't see any form of elite ride gear armor at all. It's just, let's just insert the ride gear helmet into the power armor frame and make it cool and badass, I guess. Anyways, all I'm saying is I'm tired of power armor being shoved into everything. Just make something unique and cool and not just the same thing with a different coat of paint. Oh, we also learned that Thaddeus is a neck pussy. How awesome. So after the Ghoul presenting the NCR power armor to him, he gives him the cold fusion pill and they go on their way to the free side. Then we get a somewhat cool badass scene, which gets quickly ruined by a Reddit moment.
Yeah, I would. I just seem to be having sort of a medical episode here. This sort of thing happens to folks like us all the time, right?
How funny. We cut back to Lucy, and we learned that not only the microchips that controls people are permanent, removing free will and thoughts in all of their memories. This will become very important later on in a very ridiculous scene, which Lucy goes down and tries to destroy the mainframe that's connecting to all the microchips, and in which she just changes her mind and changes her outfit. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. She came all the way down to see the mainframe, and it's just been locked behind a door, and she goes all the way back up just to eat with her dad. At which she basically explains how bad both the NCR and the Legion and compare them to basically the same thing. Basically justifying that his actions are better than both of those factions. Which Lucy gives out a very Reddit response.
I think I do understand. One side is murdering people, enslaving them, crucifying them, and the other side is just vaguely problematic.
Guess what's enough of a distraction so he can steal his Pip-Boy and go down to the mainframe. Anyways, back at the strip, we see the Ghoul and Maximus, and we see how pathetic Deathclaws are in this goddamn show. Maximus takes him out unarmed, by the way, using the blades off his power armor. It's actually surprising he somehow struggles later on in the show. Anyways, he uses that as a distraction for the Ghoul to enter inside the Lucky 38 building, while Maximus is sent flying by a Deathclaw and opening the strip to the free side. The Ghoul finds the Lucky 38 penthouse. He opens up the reactor room and puts the cold fusion, and of course, it magically revives Mr. House. I know that earlier that the cold fusion will make him immortal, but still, not only has this not been mentioned in the game whatsoever, it defeats the whole purpose of killing him in the game if he's just gonna come back as an AI. Seriously, have they even played the game before? Or are they just reading off the wiki? Anyways, moving on. Now, these are the last flashbacks we'll see in season 2, and I'll try to make this quick as possible since most of them doesn't really matter at all, besides the whole cold fusion thing, which is a very stupid plot device and shouldn't really exist. But anyways, here we go. We see Stephanie running from those filthy Americans, tries to assimilate with the Americans, and of course killed them because, you know.
Think of them as human beings. Think of them as Americans.
She eventually ends up in the Lucky 38 with Cooper Howard. Small world, I guess. She helps Cooper by getting rid of Hank, and then later she marries him, which I guess helped her secure a spot in the vault. Oh, and also in the previous couple of episodes, I didn't mention the US Congresswoman because that's how forgettable she is. She's not even a good actor. She always speaks in a monotone. She gives him an offer to meet with the President of the United States, which is coincidentally in Las Vegas itself, of course. At which she does meet him, which is Clancy Brown, and he thinks he saved the world, which we know it didn't happen. The US Congresswoman who is sitting next to him, we now know that she was the head of the whole mind control database. Just a decapitated head on a table with a bunch of wires, and of course the same helmet that's used for Mr. House. It could have made a cool reference to Fallout 4 Nuka World, where John Caleb Brabberton was inside of a cryogenic jar, but no, we instead see this, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Apparently, she is the reason that everyone that's mind control is goody two-shoes and not some crazy maniac. But whatever, moving on. We're finally at the last episode, and I'm going to quickly sum up all of the side plots, which is all the vault stuff related, like Steffi and Norm. So here we go. Norm wakes up and tries contacts for help, which he gets caught, and they bring him for a quote-unquote trial, and then she pushes a woman and opens the elevator doors, which leads to a bunch of rad roaches killing everyone. And of course, Norm has paw armor, so he survives all this, and he even develops a love interest. And then they leave the building and they go on their merry way until season 3. So yeah, that's literally the whole Norm thing summed up. Now we get to the girl boss. Her partner discovers that she killed the big fat black dude and he had enough. And when it came to marriage, he reveals to everyone that she's Canadian. She goes back to the overseer room. She opens up Hank's box and it reveals an Enclave Pip-Boy. She tells us that Hank is part of the Enclave. Wow, what a great addition. And that they were listening in this entire time, including all the radios, which I guess Hank was talking to the Enclave this entire time, not Mr. House. Speaking of Mr. House, we go back to the Lucky 38. Mr. House tells Cooper that he got killed multiple times, including with a crowbar, which isn't a usable weapon in New Vegas. I don't know how they mess up an obvious reference to BioShock, but it clearly shows that they haven't played the game to know this. Not only is the cold fusion one of its kind, and supposedly made by Vault-Tec, which in a sense is made by the government, but whatever, this is not going to get explained any further. So Mr. House knew about an underground Vault-Tec facility underneath Las Vegas. Mr. House didn't tell Cooper about this and he's pissed about it. So Mr. House is going to help him by wearing one of his Pip-Boys to guide him through the tunnels. Now we cut back to Lucy and she's in absolute shock, and then the woman asks her to kill her, which she does in a very cringe way. She tries to escape and she's confronted by Hank, and then we know that Mr. House plan was to control human beings with the machines on their neck, which obviously makes no sense for the character. And now we know Hank's ambition and his goals was to literally enslave everyone through the little machines and make it smaller than ever before. Wow, what a compelling villain. We go back to Cooper and we figure out that the Enclave, of course, was the reason that there's Deathclaws on the strip, and that the Enclave owned the Vault-Tec facility underground. Because of course he did. Enclave does everything now. Cooper finally arrives at the Vault-Tec facility just before Hank tries to put the mind control chip on her and make her her perfect daughter. And now she's given a choice to either kill him or lobotomize him with the mind control chip. And of course, she lobotomizes him for no reason at all. Does she not know that it wipes the memory when you press the button? This literally makes zero sense why she would do this. Anyways, back to Cooper. He eventually finds the cryopods, opens them up, and it reveals that they were not there. I guess they're in another castle, which he leaves everything behind, including the Pip-Boy, and goes out to Colorado because that's where he suspects his family going to be there. And I guess we won't see him until season 3. Back at Lucy, Hank reveals that the wasteland was an experiment and not the vaults. Literally, this makes no sense. I don't know why they add this. And he self-memory wipes them. This is apparently supposed to be a very sad moment, even though this is her own doing. She put the microchip on his neck. What do you expect was going to happen? And she just leaves him there. Oh, and we can't forget that Maximus fighting a death class with missiles on its back, and it has a jetpack. How does the NCR have all of this? Whatever, it's not going to get explained. He struggles, leaves the suit while getting assisted by his friend up on the roof, using his foot as a way to balance his weapon. And he gets saved by an NCR Ranger. Oh my god, it's the thing from the opening. Oh my god, no way. I'm literally crying. So I guess there was a small battalion of NCR despite them not being present whatsoever, just namely mentioned. Since Maximus got saved by pure luck, he goes to the strip and finds Lucy, and they have their little romance. Wow, how very lovely. And they go on top of the Lucky 38 and they just watch. Which then brings in the Legion. And the Legion, Kevin McAllister brings in the corpse of Caesar and opens a letter just to say that the Legion ends with him. Yeah, this would not happen. I'm not inherently mad that Caesar's dead, but the way that everything turns out, there will definitely be a succession lineup for a new Caesar. Multiple characters in the game reference this.
Intel we had back in the NCR said they had a whole succession lined up. They'll replace him as soon as word gets out. The other thing I heard is that he wasn't really commanding the army anymore. Guess we made sure of that.
By my calculations, his death will affect the shape of the battle for Hoover Dam minimally, if at all. The Legion's aggression will outlive Caesar. Indeed, they'll try to take the dam as a tribute to his memory. Given a year, they'd have him deified. But by then, the Legion will be breaking down, riven by internal conflicts, a monster consuming itself. It's irrelevant. In the short term, the Legion is still monster enough that defeating it will make me look powerful indeed.
Even Joshua Graham, even though he says that Caesar will end with him, this is coming from a person that did a failed attack on the first battle of Hoover Dam. So he's a bit salty over that. And getting his flesh burnt, of course. And then we see them go to New Vegas and claim Caesar's palace. And we're going to see another NCR versus Legion as Maximus and Lucy watch. And that's how season 2 of the Fallout show ends. So in conclusion, the show sucks. It's not the best adaptation. Literally play the games to figure out on your own that it's not at all. It's full of jokes and not even funny ones, while we see our favorite factions from New Vegas get destroyed in pieces. Like, it's just embarrassing. And this show got a high rating and won an award. The normies clearly overtook this franchise, and it shows. It destroyed New Vegas. It's truly over for Fallout. There's nothing more after this. It's truly MK Ultra type torture just to rewatch all the episodes of season 2. It truly disgusts me. And you should be too. Thanks for watching. I'm probably not going to make another video similar to this unless I have to. Something that's important to me. It should really tell you just to play the game and not watch slop. So I'll see you then.